somebody when that happens. Okay, so are you ready to get started?
Sure.
Cool. So tell us how you first got involved with Monsters Ball.
I first received the script from my manager, who had gotten the script from Mark Forster, the director's agent. She passed it along to my manager, already knowing that Mark really wasn't interested in me.
Oh, really? Okay.
But she thought I would be right for it, and she thought that if Vince got me to read it, that maybe I would like it and I would fight for it, which is exactly what happened.
Okay.
She kind of went behind his back.
Okay. Let's see. So for that process, I mean, once you started fighting for it, what was that process?
That was just after I read it, I said, you're right, I have to play this part. And so Vince, we worked on getting a meeting with Mark. And then it was just a process of, there was no audition. It's really hard to really audition for a part like that, really.
Yeah.
So it was just a series of meetings and conversations and lunches and dinners talking about it and just sort of fleshing out the character and me trying to express to him, for one, how much passion I had for the project, how much I connected to her, how I saw her, and ultimately how I saw her living through me.
Okay.
And also convincing him that I would agree to do all of the gritty things that it called for. Not just the love scene, but even the scenes with the child. I think he had some fear that I wouldn't, once I got the job, maybe I wouldn't, want to really go there and do those things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was just trying to convince him that I really was down to do it.
Yeah. But once you did get it, what type of preparation did you do to play Letitia? She seems to be did you take the character home with you? It seems to be difficult to live inside of her, I guess, or she went through so much
not
tragedy.
In the preparation process. That's where I just spent time really, there was nobody to really go talk to.
Mm-hmm.
There was no real research. It was just really just discovering how she lived in me and things that I could use in my own life or my own experience to help bring the colors to her.
Okay.
So that was really my work as an actress, with Mark and just trying to figure out the nuances of her. And when we worked on it, I really didn't really leave her. We only shot in 21 days, and we worked such long days that at the end of the day, all I had time to do was go home and sleep and get up and do it again.
Right.
And I was in Louisiana without my family. So for those 21 days, for all practical purposes, I was her.
Right.
And it was a good way to work on this character. And I didn't have to worry about my family and going home and switching gears because I was on location by myself.
Right, right. What was the most difficult scene to shoot of the difficult scenes?
I think the scene where I had to sort of abuse my son.
Mm-hmm.
Those were really hard because he was a real little boy, 10 years old, struggling with issues of obesity,
Yeah.
And he wasn't an actor, never acted before. And I felt, wow, I could psychologically really damage him. I thought I could. I was afraid that I would.
Yeah. Was there anything that you, when working with him, that you did to comfort him somewhat?
I just talked to him about the process of acting a lot and explain things to him and methods that, different people use and, sort of tried to give him a crash course in all the acting that I knew.
Right.
And then tried to hug him and kiss him a lot, before the takes and after the takes. And, even when I would see him in the morning, I tried to be as nurturing and as loving to him as I could all the time.
Yeah.
So that we had a really good connection. So when we did work, he felt more like it was work and not me saying these cruel things.
Right. He was a wonderful little actor.
Yeah.
The film would not have worked nearly as well if the first love scene wasn't as raw as it was. Did you have any hesitation about doing the film because you knew that in advance?
No, not at all. I knew it when I read it. I thought, wow, it was so pivotal. And really, as a reader for the first time with the script, I kind of knew where it was going to go. I figured those two characters were going to end up. It's like when you read a romantic comedy. You know they're going to end up, but it's the journey of how they get there that makes it interesting.
Yes,
I kind of figured maybe that would happen. And I thought, but how is this going to happen? How are these two polar opposites going to come together? So when that came, it all made sense for me. I thought, oh, now I get it.
Right.
So I knew how important that scene would be to the movie.
How was Billy Bob to work with? There must have been a real level of trust between you two, I guess, for those scenes.
Yeah. There was, and he was great. He was really, he was as invested in it as I was. He was as naked, as committed to it, as vulnerable, as free as I was. And I felt like I had a real partner. It wasn't like a typical situation where the woman is usually, you know, the one that's sort of exploited.
Right.
You know, in those situations, you know what I mean?
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
equally in the scene together.
Yeah. No,
And that felt really good.
That's one of the things that made the scene really work. Is it true that Mark Forster, did he gave you final cut of that scene?
Yes. That's the only way I think we both felt free enough to just go there, because we knew that if it was too far when we woke up the next morning and saw it, we could say, oh, what were we thinking? Act it all out. And that gave us the freedom. You know, we had that like in writing, so we knew we had that power. We ended up really leaving it all in.
Oh, really?
We didn't cut anything.
There are, on a smaller film, there are a lot fewer, perks, quote unquote, as opposed to a studio film. But there are things that a lower budget frees you to do as an actress on the other side, I guess.
Well, what was great about it for me, because I never really had worked like that before, is that because there was no money, we didn't have the luxury of time. We didn't have the luxury of shooting things over. It was a way of working, of coming to the job being totally prepared, and every day just following our instincts and going for it, because we knew that, okay, we're only going to get probably 2 shots at this, all the scenes. And so it heightened our level of concentration and sort of our level of commitment, because we knew we only have like 1 or 2 takes, and then we have to move on because time just doesn't allow us to do this all day.
Right.
So I think it heightened the intensity and everybody's level of concentration while we were working. It was really great. It felt really organic because of that.
Cool. Are you surprised with how much acclaim the film has received, or did you always think it had the shot at that?
I never thought like people would be like nominated for Academy Awards. That's never in my thinking.
Really? Okay.
I knew that it was a jewel of a movie. I knew that it was special when I read it, which is why I wanted to fight so hard. I thought, I don't know if people are going to really get this, if they're going to be ready to deal with some of these issues, but as an actor, I knew that the roles were just brilliant for actors to play. Brilliant characters, really colorful and full. I knew that when I read it. I never thought anybody would be nominated for an Oscar, especially me. Billy Bob, maybe, because, he's in that world, and maybe he would get noticed, because I thought his part was so wonderful, too.
Yeah.
But certainly not me.
So how's the Oscar nomination feel?
It's indescribable, actually. It's wonderful, to have that kind of validation from your peers and people that know what it takes to put together a movie. It feels really, really good. Yeah.
It's well deserved. I mean, I'm trying to think of the question here. I mean, you said it felt validating. I mean, is it always is validation something that an actor is always looking for? Did you feel validated a long time ago?
Well, it's a different kind of validation. I felt validated along the way as I've been able to. For one, I feel validated that as a woman of color that I've been able to make a living for the last 12 years just on acting with no side gigs.
Right.
That in itself is validating to me.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because so many SAG actors just don't work and don't make a living at acting. So that feels like validation. But this is a different kind of validation. It's just another level of validating. This is like the icing, the candles on the cake, the cherry on the sundae.
Right.
It's that kind of validation, which feels incredible. And I don't think anybody really does it. Not the best actors, I don't really think. And I've been lucky enough to meet some of them who have won Academy Awards, and I don't really think they do it for that.
Right.
And I think that's why they get them, because they put so much love and passion into the work that their work becomes undeniable, but I don't think they set out to do anything for an Oscar.
Right. Are you looking to do, you be willing to do more smaller films like Monsters Ball in the future? Or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm searching it out now. It was such a great way to work and learn, so I'm certainly looking to do that.
Cool. I wanted to just ask you a little bit about your background and some of your earlier films. So when you landed the role in Jungle Fever for Spike Lee, that was kind of like, was that a tough one to land, the first one? I guess you started in television before that?
Yeah, that was my first movie. And actually, Spike wanted me to... He called me in to audition for the part of his wife, which I read that part, and then I knew going into film that I needed to sort of shed my... You know, all I was up until that point was a model, and I'd done some beauty pageants, and I thought, how can I shed this image? And I asked if I could read for the part of the crackhead in the movie, and he let me do it, and he eventually offered me that part, so that was a great way to start in the industry, sort of shedding my physical self and doing a little bit of a character piece.
Right.
That was a great entry.
And your preparation process, was it pretty method? You kind of lived it?
Yeah, at that point, that's all I could do. I had no technique. I was just like, okay, let me go live on the street and try to be this girl the best I can. So, yeah, I didn't shower, I didn't shave, and I really had to try to I went to a real crack den with an undercover police officer, which those are things that today I doubt I would ever do.
Right.
It's too dangerous and it really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
But at that time, I was young, and I was like, I don't know anything about crack. I got to go see. I got to go live it.
Right.
See. So, yeah.
Let's see. You did an amazing job as Dorothy Dandridge. You must have done a ton of preparation for it, and I know there's a couple parallels between your lives. I just wanted to ask you, kind of what your process for becoming her and introducing was.
Well, yeah, that was a lot of preparation. The producing end was like 7 years in the process. We tried to shop that around for 7 years, trying to get that made, and so that was a long prep time.
Yeah.
But playing her, I had to work on singing. I had to take tap lessons, learn how to tap dance, and all that kind of physical stuff that I had to do beforehand. And I did a lot of interviewing with like Sidney Poitier, Diane Carroll, people that actually knew her. The Nicholas brothers, her best friend Jerry Brandt, and I spent a lot of time with these people just like picking their brain and sort of trying to get to the essence of who she was, and if I can find some common thread that they all said about her and how I would, use that. And I read every book, every piece of material there was to read about her. I saw tons of pictures. Her manager, who was still alive, let me go through everything that he had of hers, from personal private letters to all of her clothes, her jewelry that he had, just everything, her family photo albums. It was just about a 6-month period before I started to shoot of just finding every bit of information I possibly could.
Was there you mentioned there was a common thread you were looking for. Was there anything specific that you found, or?
Yeah, every one of those people that I spoke to, they all said, I would ask them all, if you can tell me one thing that I must capture in order to play her, what would that be? And they all said the same thing. They said, you have to find a way to be sad on every day, in every scene, in every moment, and always try to hide the sadness, and you'll get the essence of who she was. Okay. And so I thought, because they all said that, it had to be true. Right. I thought, okay, that was a good place for me to start.
Right. And how did winning the Golden Globe? How did that feel? It was similar to what you're feeling with the Oscar right now, or?
Yeah, really, because that was my first time I'd ever really been nominated for an award like that. Right. And through playing her life, there were so many opportunities that she was not afforded. A lot of them had to do with, the state of, racial relations in the country at the time, and the other 50% was her own masochistic personality that led to her own downfall, And I felt very much like when I was up there that I was sort of up there for her. And for all the things that didn't come her way, that in that moment I felt sort of like that it was really about her too. And because I was winning for her, for telling her story, I felt very much like it was, kind of corny, but
no,
much like it was her moment.
No, it's amazing. So you're shooting the new Bond film now as the villain. How's it feel playing the villain?
Well, I'm not. That's sort of been a little bit of representation, but I'm not really sort of, it's not really clear who Jinx is.
Okay.
She's very mysterious, even to me right now.
Okay. Yeah, are you allowed to talk about the story at all, or?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Do it. Make you sign your life away.
No, that's really cool. I figured that because I looked around the internet for the story and I couldn't find it anywhere. So.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so you're shooting the new X-Men film soon, I guess.
Right.
Is that happening? How was working with Bryan Singer in the past?
That was good. Brian, he had such, directing that movie, it was so much pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Fans were just,
Yes.
Oh, my God. I was so glad I wasn't him.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a really great job dealing with all of the pressure of, every day he'd be on the internet, wanting to know what they said next, So he had a lot of pressure, and I thought he did a really good job, and he took those, comic book characters and made them real. And I really loved his, like we weren't wearing, stupid, silly suits and, spandex.
Right.
He really made them real people. And I'm hoping that the next one they'll even become more real.
What was I going to say? Did you read a lot of the comic books when you were preparing for Aurora/Storm, or?
I didn't. And Brian didn't want, the people who didn't know and didn't grow up with the series, he didn't want us to.
Okay.
He wanted us to read the script and read the backstory that he provided us, and so that we could create. Because if I realize what he got now, if you knew too much, all the characters changed, from decade to decade, and they sort of went off in different directions, and so he thought it would just be really confusing, and he thought it'd be easier, and I think rightfully so, not to go back and read all the comic books. I read some.
Okay.
That pertain to the way he wanted Storm to be played. Those are the ones that he suggested that I read and that he gave me.
Okay. And I noticed I went on your Hollywood website, and I noticed you actually respond to a lot of your fans' email.
Yeah, I do.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I do. It's great. I love that connection.
Yeah, it's just something that not many stars do, and it was just really surprising and really cool to see.
Oh.
And so let me just ask you. Okay. So after Bond, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about that's solid, or?
Well, right after Bond, then there'll be X-Men, and after X-Men, it'll probably be sometime in September, October. So I'm trying to right now figure out what the fall will be, but.
Okay.
It won't be being a superhero, I can tell you that right now. After Bond and X-Men, I want to go do like another Monsters Ball, another little character.
It must be nice to be able to kind of segue between those two worlds.
Yeah, it's great. Somebody just said to me recently, like, after Monsters Ball, why would you want to go do Bond? And I thought, why not? What could be better? What could be better?
Right. And just a couple facts I just want to make sure I get right for the intro. That I got on the Internet Movie Database bio. Were you named at the Halle Brothers department store? Is that correct?
Right, in Cleveland.
In Cleveland. And on your website, you list your mother as your greatest influence. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I've got a lot of great stuff here, so I think we're all set.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Sure. No, thank you.
For the time this morning.
Thank you. No, thank you for giving me the time. And good luck with everything, and enjoy London. And I look forward to seeing the new movies.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. And we'll get you a copy, or through your publicist, a copy of the issue when it comes out this month.
When does this come out? That's what I want.
I think hopefully it will be the first week of next month, of March.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll get out right before the Oscars. That's what we're shooting for.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So we'll get you a couple copies. And did they photograph you already, or?
I think they just bought some art. Pam,
okay.
told me today that they